Like, I think every mental condition does come with its own set of superpowers, and it's like, I think society as a whole should focus on the strengths that come with the mental conditions instead of the limitations or just the differences of things that seem abnormal.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for watching. We have my friend Katie here, and she is going to be our special guest talking to you today about Asperger's and what her experience has been in not being defined by that label. So that's coming right at you. Alright, we're back. Katie, do you want to just kind of introduce yourself for those at home that don't know you? Something about you?
I'm Katie. Yeah, I am originally from Alabama, but I left the nest. I needed to leave my community to be in a place where I could make friends, and so I've lived in Utah for the past 4 years, and life has been great in Utah. It's like, for my profession, I'm a genealogist, and I like to knit and crochet and play with yarn. I'm currently knitting a scarf that's really long and colorful.
So you have Asperger's, is that right?
Yes.
Cool, and you wanted to share your story today. So do we want to kind of introduce what that even means? Because I know a lot of people maybe aren't even familiar with what that means.
So Asperger's is on the autism spectrum. It's actually not even a diagnosable condition anymore.
Oh.
So it's basically what was being diagnosed as Asperger's is now diagnosed as mild autism. So people who are autistic tend to not have social skills, like avoiding eye contact, not knowing how to interact with people, and it's like other symptoms include overstimulation, like sensitivity to a lot of noise, for example, or maybe it could be other sensory input. Too much can overwhelm, and transition is difficult. People with autism need a routine, need consistency, and if you throw off the routine, that can cause problems for an autistic person to have their routine messed up, so that's why transition is very hard.
Mm-hmm. So I know you wanted to talk a little bit about what you've done as you're trying to like overcome some of the challenges that you face with like social skills. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I used to not really be able to make friends. I could not tell the difference between friends and acquaintances. Well, there was most of my childhood I did not even talk to people outside of my family, and at some point I did start talking to people outside of my family and decided I didn't like having friends, except that I did not even know what a real friend was, and I would think an acquaintance was a best friend, and then it's like we weren't as close as I thought we were, and because of my lack of social skills, I didn't really notice my lack of friends.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did realize that was a depressing point of my life, but then I also did start to learn social skills. I worked as a cashier at a grocery store for 2 years. I started when I was 20, and at that kind of job, you have to meet the needs of the customers that they're not going to express,
mm-hmm.
and you have to read their nonverbal communication to figure out what those needs are. So it's like I did learn how to read nonverbal communication at that job. I learned how to tell whether or not people wanted to have a conversation with the cashier. I became comfortable making eye contact and started to see how wide of a variety of eye colors there existed.
Love that.
And it's like I did find myself outside of that job, like being able to read nonverbal communication. Like when a Spanish member of my congregation was trying to speak to one of the Spanish-speaking missionaries, she was speaking too fast, and the missionary did not know what she was saying, and she had this blank look on her face, and it was a really big moment to me when I recognized the blank look on her face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's huge.
And at the same time that I was working at the grocery store, I was preparing for a mission with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I was working with the sister missionaries a lot, and working with them I learned how to love people it's like to care about people, and it's like I think both of those combined is what enabled me to be able to form such strong friendships, such as what I share with you.
That's right. That seems like it would be really hard. Like, it's hard for all of us to kind of make connections, right? But sometimes it seems like we're at a disadvantage already, but that's awesome that you're able to start picking out those cues and kind of studying people, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's like have to observe people a lot. I'm still slow with figuring out social rules. Like, the best way for me to learn a social rule is if you just tell me. But most people don't do that. An effective way to learn social rules is to get in trouble for breaking them. That's not ideal. Other than that, it's like I figure it out very slowly with lots of observing people, and it's like how they respond, how they interact, and what they do in certain situations. But I would rather you tell me.
That's good to know, that just be clear, be honest, be upfront. But that can be really helpful.
It's like, I think like with my social skills, I seem to have come a long way with them, and it's like it's like 10 years ago that would have, my lack of social skills impacted my life more, but now it's overstimulation. I'll skip activities that many people will find fun because I won't enjoy it if it's so noisy that I get overwhelmed.
Right.
And transition is still hard. I'm in the middle of moving from one apartment to another, and there have been things that go wrong that stress me out. Would have to go home and take a nap or just not do anything because I have to recover from being stressed. And even if the process was more smooth, it would still be hard. But I did have a big transition when I moved from Alabama to Utah.
Yeah.
But it's like I did realize that what I was moving to, it's like I would have better opportunities than where I was moving from. And that did help me deal with the transitions. Like, yeah, there were down moments anytime I transitioned. But if there are things that are going to be better, and I know it's going to be better, it's easier to go through.
Yeah.
And another thing is, like, I have to be able to establish a routine. Like, I've recently switched jobs. I got a job in my field, and, like, with my work schedule and commuting to Salt Lake, I just have to get used to that, figure out basically how I'm going to work all my daily and weekly routines around my new work schedule. And it's like once I can establish the routines and structure, then it's easier to deal with life.
Yeah, for sure. That's probably good advice for anybody to just, first of all, take a break when you're stressed, right? Like, just find that time to give back to yourself, but also having some kind of routine to fall back on when things get a little bit crazy can sometimes help. At least you've got that little structure throughout the day that you can rely on.
It's like, I think my Asperger's also comes with some superpowers.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like I notice patterns very easily. I've got an attention to detail. It's like you're wearing a plaid shirt and I'm wearing a plaid shorts, and I'm not sure if that was obvious to you that we're both wearing plaid.
I did not notice that until just barely.
Yeah, that's like things like that. Like, I'll be the first to notice if people's outfits coordinate. Or the other day, I noticed when your Jolly Rancher matched your shirt.
That's right.
Like, I don't know of anyone who would notice something like that. But that is something that helps me in my job also. It's like there's some technical issues where people at work aren't able to access a system that they need to access. So I was looking into it and looking for patterns, looking for weird things that probably are out of place that may be related to the issue.
Yeah, that definitely is big time superpowers. So I'm so glad that you highlighted that, because that's super awesome. I feel like that is actually something that's probably less understood by people who aren't as familiar with the autistic spectrum, is just how much you can add and contribute to people at your job, in the community, things like that. And so that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's like I think every mental condition does come with its own set of superpowers, and it's like I think society as a whole should focus on the strengths that come with the mental conditions instead of the limitations or just the differences of things that seem abnormal.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I thought this was awesome. I hope you guys did too. Thanks so much for watching, and thank you, Katie, so much for being here and being willing to share a little bit about your story and not being defined by labels or limitations. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you around on the next one.